when actually the king is still undergoing really treatment for really serious cancer. Where does this guy get off? And I'm sorry, I think also Prince Harry is on a new media blitz, this time, most disgustingly, against his own father, King Charles. So he has used the cover of Hello magazine to do this. The headline there, fighting for his family. Inside Harry's mission to bring Archie and Lily back to the UK, an exclusive report. Well, as the Royal News Network posted about this, he should have considered his family. Before Oprah, Netflix, Spare, etc., Harry destroyed his relationship with his family for greed. He doesn't get to whine now. We're going to have analysis on this from Prince Harry's biographer, Angela Levin, in just one moment. But I think first I need to take you through Harry's PR spin in this week's edition of Hello magazine and their exclusive report, which has clearly been briefed on the back of the Duke of Sussex, as they claim, winning a huge privacy battle in a landmark case against the Sun publisher. Immediately there, you've even got a factual inaccuracy in the Hello magazine headline, because Harry didn't win. He settled because he didn't want to have to face people like me in court this week giving him some home truths. He settled because actually this is a man who has proven he is just about the money, maybe because of his wife. So I don't endorse this Hello magazine report, but I am going to take you through it. So I'll take you through the key parts anyway. So they say Harry's legal battles are far from over, however, with Harry now focused on taking the fight for his family's protection to court in April, and his next case that may prove decisive in his relationship with his father, King Charles. Harry's lawyers will appeal a High Court judgment upholding a Home Office decision to downgrade his security provision in the UK when he stepped back as a senior working royal in 2020.
The ongoing saga surrounding Prince Harry's estrangement from the royal family has entered yet another turbulent chapter, one filled with emotion, defiance, and an undeniable sense of distance. At the center of this latest development is Harry's determined legal battle to restore his right to official security protection while visiting the United Kingdom. A fight that has become symbolic of something much larger than safety itself. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, they lost access to the taxpayer-funded security that had shielded them for years. For Harry, this wasn't just about status or privilege. It was about safety, responsibility, and the protection of his family. Now, as a husband and father living across the Atlantic, he argues that his children, Archie and Lilibet, deserve the same level of security he once had. In his view, their safety should not be compromised simply because he chose a different path from the monarchy. But this battle is not merely legal, it's deeply personal. Each court filing, each public appearance, and every media headline seem to pull Harry further from the family and the institution that shaped his identity.
Prince William and Catherine were attending a very important Holocaust memorial service in the UK. The day they do that, Harry's team decide to drop this report, which is full of propaganda, in my view, from Harry. So I think, number one, the timing was disgusting. But actually, the most disgusting thing is the pressure that he is continuing to heap on his father, the king, to overturn a government decision which the king cannot do and should not do, but also at a time when actually the king is still undergoing really treatment for really serious cancer. Where does this guy get off? And I'm sorry, I think also, where does Hello magazine get off trying to claim that Harry is the one fighting for his family when actually he has spent the last 5 years trashing his family? They are my thoughts, Angela, but I'm very keen to hear yours.
Well, I'll give you the best one at the beginning and then we can go back. Now, the king, who is a regent, right?
Yes.
If he wants to, he can stop the two children going back to America. It's his privilege to keep them in the UK. Now, if Harry brought them, there could be quite a big opportunity for both of them to be left in this country, not go back to their mother. So I think this is all playtime because they must know that. And if they don't want them to be captured or even thought about, then they shouldn't be playing these sort of silly games.
Critics argue that by airing grievances so publicly, through interviews, documentaries, and his best-selling memoir, he's only widening the rift that already feels impossible to bridge. To them, every revelation pushes reconciliation further out of reach. On the other hand, supporters see a man standing up for his family, a father trying to protect what truly matters, even if it means challenging the establishment he once served. They see courage where others see conflict. Meanwhile, King Charles finds himself in an uncomfortable position, bound by constitutional limits and wary of appearing to interfere in a government decision. Reports suggest he remains sympathetic but restrained, unwilling to cross the political lines that define his role as monarch. The implications are significant. Should the court rule in Harry's favor, it could open a small but meaningful door, a chance for renewed dialogue, perhaps even the beginning of reconciliation. It might allow Harry to bring his children to the UK more often, reconnecting them with their royal roots and their grandfather. Yet the question lingers, can legal victories truly heal emotional wounds? Or do such battles only deepen the scars left by years of mistrust and misunderstanding? As this story unfolds, one thing remains certain. The conflict between duty and personal freedom, between tradition and self-determination, continues to define Prince Harry's life. And for a family whose image depends on unity, every chapter of this saga reminds the world just how fragile those bonds have become.
Wow, Angela, that is absolutely fascinating, though,
Yeah.
that Charles
I mean,
has the power to do
yes,
that.
yes, yes. It has the right to keep royal children. This has been rumbling along for years now, but people just put it under the bed because it's not very nice and you don't want to say that. But Harry keeps on saying this about his family. And so is he asking for it? Because Meghan's never going to come here. She says that all the time. She doesn't want her children, surely, to go away from her and not to see them. Surely these children need to stay where they can have a good school, which would be in America. The fact that they haven't met their family on their paternal side is entirely their fault. Harry doesn't want them to come because it's a punishment to his father. And that's very different from actually bringing children over so that they can get used to their family. It's nothing to do with that. He just wants to upset his father. But I think if he's not careful, if they really think about it hard, I would recommend it, but it's not my business, that you can keep these children and give them a life that is actually with their family, and Harry comes and he can see them, but he won't be responsible for them. It won't happen, I'm sure of that. But I think they're playing with fire and they're pretending. That cover is just disgusting, actually, because he knows very well that he has been disgusting to his father. And he just keeps on, as you just said before, trying to persuade the Home Office not to keep Harry being paid underneath the top level of protection. And he can't do that. He can ask them, but actually he's not in charge of the decisions. And if they did talk about it, it would be very quietly in the palace. Nobody would know. It's not something that would come up next day on the front pages. And I'm sure that the Home Office would say, actually, no, we don't want to give him all that because he's not a royal now. He's not actually working. And we can't use the people's tax to give him this huge protection. And that's what he's got to get. But the way he says it all the time, keep on saying it, it's easy to get the impression that Charles is being mean, he's being awful. He wants to see his children, but he doesn't really. And he's not helping Harry because they can't live unless they have the top grade protection. And that's all just made up. It's just horrible. And the way he's been disgusting about his father ever since he left, he can't imagine that his father would say, oh, come round, it will be lovely and wonderful. Of course he wants to see him. Of course he misses him. Of course he loves him. But he's not happy with what he's doing and how he treats his family. He's got to learn differently. And he won't. You see, he's always, unlike Meghan, he's the big shot. and what he wants to do has to be done because he's a prince. But there's lots of other things going on under the carpet that will stop this, I'm pleased to say.
There really are. It is interesting to me, though, Angela, that in the future, because let's be honest, we know that at some point in the future, this very dysfunctional marriage between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, which has broken down, probably will formally break up. And it's fascinating to know that in the future, King Charles could use that power to try and allow Harry to have the children in the UK. But that's why I very much doubt that Meghan will ever allow the children to travel to the United Kingdom. Certainly not if there was any split between them, because that was one of the whole reasons that she wanted to have Harry in America. Now, of course, there's a whole other question, Angela, about these children in regards to the fact that I believe they need to actually be DNA tested in order to make sure that they have a right to be part of the line of succession. And that is something that King Charles should also be concerned about. Again, I know it's incredibly awkward, but we do know why.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, if you don't have royal blood, you can't be on the list of, that's it, very simple. But I don't think you can take a blood test unless things are very bad indeed. But the thing is that if there is a divorce, Harry is thrown out, as he very well might be now that Trump is in charge.
Oh, yes, I want to come to that in just a second, actually.
Yes.
But before we do, make your point.
Yeah, before we do. He won't be able to get into America ever. Now, will Meghan bring them over so that he can see them? I don't think so. So you have to think of these poor children who won't be able to see their father. They're with them with their mother and a grandmother. Haven't got any other family there. And I did know and did see when I was writing Harry's book, he was brilliant with children. I don't know how he is with his own children, but he was absolutely brilliant with children. And he still is a bit of a child in him. And he was good fun. But if he goes off, I can't imagine Meghan giving up her days to look after them. She might love them a lot, but she'd get the Meghan cuddle, hug, and then she'd be off trying to make amends and friends with anybody she could.
Angela, I know that Meghan doesn't spend... there's the brilliant book. But I know that... that Meghan doesn't spend much time with those children. We'll go into that another day, I promise. However, Angela, you mention Trump and the threat that Harry could be deported. Now, look, this is a complicated one because Trump is not going to want to deeply upset King Charles and Prince William, who he has a huge amount of respect for. However, he has been incredibly tough on the issue of immigration. We've got people who have not even been massively in support of Trump in the past, like Meghan McCain, the daughter of the late Republican presidential candidate John McCain, saying that if Trump deports Prince Harry, they'll actually put him on Mount Rushmore. And then Niall Gardner, the brilliant man of the Heritage Foundation, writing President Trump's mass deportation program should include foreign users of
As the royal drama
drugs.
deepens, a new and unsettling dimension begins to take shape, one that blurs the line between royal protocol and personal freedom. At the center of this growing storm lies a question few dare to address openly. Could King Charles, through the powers vested in the British monarchy, influence the fate of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's children, Archie and Lilibet? Under British law, the reigning monarch holds a unique and rarely discussed prerogative, one that grants them certain rights and authority over the upbringing and residency of royal descendants. In theory, this means that King Charles possesses a degree of control that could, however unlikely, affect whether Harry and Meghan's children are free to return to the United States or reside in the United Kingdom. While such an action would be virtually unprecedented in modern royal history, even the suggestion of it highlights the immense stakes in this ongoing family conflict. For many observers, this isn't just a legal or constitutional matter, it's a psychological chess match played across continents. Every move Harry makes, whether through his memoir Spare, his court battles over security, or his public statements about the institution he left behind appears to carry a deeper message, a fight for independence, identity, and control of his own narrative. Yet that independence comes at a steep emotional cost. Meghan's continued hesitation to return to Britain speaks volumes. Her strained history with the royal establishment, combined with the cold distance between Harry and his father, paints a picture of a family divided not just by geography, but by trust and ideology. Critics argue that Harry's repeated efforts to present his grievances publicly, through interviews, documentaries, and lawsuits, may not be about justice or transparency at all. Instead, they believe these actions are strategic provocations, designed to challenge the very family he claims to still love. Each revelation, each courtroom appearance, only seems to drive a sharper wedge between the Sussexes and the monarchy. It's an irony that cuts deep. In trying to protect his family from the pressures and scrutiny of royal life, Prince Harry may be unintentionally isolating them from the very legacy he holds so dear. The question now is whether his pursuit of freedom will ultimately give his children the independence he dreams of, or leave them forever standing on the edges of a kingdom that no longer feels like home.
First foreign tour this year. And she's always coming in to fill what's needed without any complaints or wanting praise. She just does it. But I think it's given her a huge shock to know what happened to her. And it must be so frustrating for such a strong, powerful woman. The good memory that she doesn't know how it happened. It must lurk in her mind a great deal. But she must also be very careful about how she is nowadays, I think. It's a lesson.
It's just crazy to think of Princess Anne being 74, isn't it? Now, I know you're 74 years young these days, Angela. We live in a very different world and...
I wouldn't know.
No, not even close. Not even... You know what I'm saying? People live for much longer, but she is an active, fit woman and she works her behind off. You know, she is regularly working member of the royal family. She does it in a very no-nonsense manner. She's always loved riding. She's always loved her exercise. She's always loved her sport. But I guess it's that terrible reality that at 74 years old, actually, maybe there does have to be some sort of change. But again, I can never imagine Princess Anne retiring, for example. So thank God she wasn't brain damaged in the way that she hinted she could have been very easily.
Yes. Absolutely. But she's also a very good mother. You know, both her children adore her. She is very nice and a grandmother. You could think that because she's so efficient, that she would just get with the work, but she's absolutely adored by her, which I think is an amazing combination of what she can. Remarkable woman, absolutely remarkable.
And I think
she said about she would never finish. She just said, is she going to slow and go out? She said, I don't think so. I don't think there's a retirement program on this particular life.
Very true. And it doesn't fit her spirit. I mean, I think the reason beloved by us, the public, is because she has a lot of the stoicism and the work ethic of her late mother, Queen Elizabeth II.
And father. She was just like him. And he thought that if there wasn't, you couldn't be next king. If you're a girl, she would have made a wonderful queen. He has said that. I'm sure he's right. But we've got a wonderful king. We're okay.
Very true, very true. But goodness, would have been a great queen, wouldn't she, Princess Anne? She would have been a great, great queen.
Yeah. Stand no nonsense.
Yeah.
But very loving and hardworking.
And I think that's how we like. That's like our royal family. But anyway, I knew it was serious. I knew at the time. The one thing the royal family are bad at, Angela, let's just be honest about this. They don't like being honest about their health issues. And which is why even now know the details of the king's cancer treatment, which is ongoing, etc., etc. So I knew that it was bad at the time. But thank goodness she is okay. And Angela Levin will speak later.
And so the royal saga marches on, a tale of pride, pain, and persistence with no resolution in sight. What began as a personal journey for freedom has evolved into one of the most public and polarizing dramas in modern royal history. From courtroom clashes over security rights to whispers of potential deportation, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle remain firmly under the world's magnifying glass. Every decision they make, every appearance, every statement seems to fuel the ever-growing debate. Are they fighting for justice or simply fighting to stay relevant? Their choices in the coming months, whether to continue the battle or seek reconciliation, will not only shape the future of their marriage, but will also define their children's legacy and their standing within the House of Windsor itself. But beyond the headlines, the monarchy too faces its own reckoning. King Charles, navigating both health concerns and the weight of the crown, must balance duty with fatherhood. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe for more revealing insights, untold royal truths, and the latest turns in this ever-evolving royal saga.